Hallo und herzlich willkommen zu einer neuen Folge Let's Play NBA 2K18. Die Playoffs rücken immer näher. Heute geht's gegen die Timberwolves. Und ob wir unsere Siegesserie da fortsetzen können oder nicht, das seht ihr jetzt in der ersten Hälfte. Ganz viel Spaß dabei.
Mike Wang here, gameplay director for the NBA 2K series. Greg Anthony has lent us his insight on commentary for years in NBA 2K.
I mean, he'll brush off the comparisons to Steph Curry, but he presents some of the same problems for the defense.
But in NBA 2K18, he also appears on the rosters of the 95 Knicks, 2000 Trailblazers, and the all-time Grizzlies. With nearly 100 teams filled with historic players, it can be tough to remember the strengths of these great players and how to use them effectively in NBA 2K18. Before you even load into a game, you can hit up the roster screen in the options menu. Here, you can see complete team rosters, and you can click the right stick in to view their player cards. I recommend taking a quick look at any player's badges to see their overall strengths. But for a little more detail, you can check each rating and even compare them against position averages. While in a game, you can press up on the D-pad to bring up the gameplay HUD. Whether you're on offense or defense, you can quickly see a player's strengths and weaknesses. You can also look at the
It's the 2K Sports pregame show.
Welcome to 2K Sports. I'm your host, Ernie Johnson. Kenny the Jet Smith is here, and so is the Big Diesel, Shaquille O'Neal. Tonight, we'll be watching the Minnesota Timberwolves playing against the Los Angeles Clippers. For Los Angeles, they've played well of late, winning 5 of their last 6 games. Tonight, an opportunity to continue that trend. With the regular season starting to wind down, Kenny, if you're a team that's put up a good fight, but now it's obvious you won't make the playoffs, what's your strategy in the last few games?
Well, you try to get better for next year. You want to improve. Every day you're on the court, you want to improve. But you also want to put a good product on for the fans. So you want to have the fans believing next year could be your year as well.
Well, I'm not as nice as Kenny. I want to win now. So the first thing I would do, I got to evaluate the coaching staff. And then I got to decide which players I want back. We're not making the playoffs. Well, I'm not paying any people.
That'll do it. Both teams ready for tip. We send it to Kevin Harlan and the crew.
K Sports welcomes you to the following presentation of the NBA.
DJ?
What up, Cat?
What up, baby?
How you doing?
I'm good. You good?
Yeah, I'm all right. You got me last time. You know what I'm saying?
Man, I got 2 years. You're a rookie. You're gonna get it right. Always remember, never too high, never too low. Stay the course, all right?
Man, what kind of advice is that? You give advice to everybody.
You'll remember that. Watch. You'll remember that.
All right.
Tell him sit down. Be humble. 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 Sit down.
Welcome, everyone, to this 2K Sports broadcast live from downtown Minneapolis. Along with Greg Anthony, Steve Smith, and David Aldridge on our sidelines, this is Kevin Harlan, and joining us tonight, one of the most dominant players of our generation, Kevin Garnett.
Thank you for having me, man. It's always a pleasure to see you.
Last game for the Timberwolves, it was a loss to the Houston Rockets. And guys, the hometown fans not pleased with that dreadful performance. They saw their team get knocked out cold.
And, you know, their focus wasn't there in that one. Same with the shot selection.
I've seen worse shooting nights, but this was pretty bad, and it obviously cost them the game.
And nothing tips off a broadcast like getting the lowdown from the sidelines. And we've got David Aldridge there for that. David, good evening.
Thank you, Kevin. Now, Jimmy Butler survived a tough upbringing in Tomball, Texas. He said that's all anybody ever wanted to talk about. But I don't want that to define me. If I'm stuck in the past, then I won't get any better. I won't change. I'll get stuck as that kid. That's not who I am. I'm a great basketball player because of my work. Guys.
Thanks, David. You can tell Butler has a good head on his shoulders, an elite talent in this league because of the hard work he puts in. And Kev, you think of the great ones. You, Kobe, I mean Jordan.
Timmy,
yeah, how about him? They worked harder than anybody else, Kevin.
And what you learn is that the similarity or the parallel that you all have is an inner animal that you never speak about. You know, we're all a little off. We're all a little dark, but that's what pushes you through pain. That's what pushes you through tough moments. And when someone says you can't, when someone says this is not possible, this is unreal, no one's ever done it, that's the moment you're looking for. The moment someone told Kobe that he couldn't get over 50, 60, something Jordan couldn't do, he was driven in that. And if Phil wouldn't have stopped him, he probably would have reached 100 points.
He probably would have, yeah.
You know, he did Will Chamberlain a favor. And that's just real. He was in that type of mode. We all share that passion. We all share that drive. And the ones that have that inner darkness, we all understand.
It's like a split personality, huh?
It's almost like another level.
Yeah. All fueled up and ready to go. Brought to you by Gatorade. Let's check out who's on the floor. Taking a look at Los Angeles. Griffin and Jordan, the front court. Rivers out there with DJ, and it's Gallinari in at the 3 slot. Kevin, it's been said that some guys hated to play against you. Is there someone you hated to play against for whatever reason?
No.
You enjoyed every jump?
I enjoyed every competitor because on the offensive side of the ball, I was always challenged when to use counters or what type of moves I was using. I took a lot of pride in having a variety of moves for different types of defenses. And each guy is going to bring out a different side of the offense in you. And then turning around and then being that defender and being able to guard the post player or the post or whatever the post player was or whatever. Rasheed Wallace was always a tough guard. Tim Duncan was always a tough guard. Zach Randolph was always a tough guard. Chris Webber, Dice, Karl Malone.
Great names. And here is Butler, following the three-pointer by DJ. And Kevin, your last couple years, you got to mentor some young players. Karl Anthony Towns comes to mind. How good do you think he can be?
Man, Cat is the next. He is what I call the next of the next. Yes, he has the pedigree. He has the work ethic. He has the IQ. Most importantly, the desire. You know, when you talk about players being better, I always like to think about if players know history. He understands history. He's been here before. You follow him through his high school years. He's always wanted to be an anchor. He's always wanted to be a very informative person. He looks for knowledge. He seeks a lot of knowledge. He wants to know what he's up against as far as history. Who am I chasing? What's his number? How many rebounds did he get? What did he do his rookie year? That's what's driving him.
Kevin, especially back in Minnesota, you have some Hall of Fame battles with a guy named Tim Duncan. Talk about what those games, what those matchups were like.
Tim is very crafty, man. Our battles used to just, especially as young guys, man. Young guys trying to establish themselves in a gritty league at the time, full of some older, dominant names at the time. Michael Jordan, Elijah Malone. You know, the time where the forward position was a very, very tough position. But Timmy was one of them ones, man. Used angles very well, was very long. had a lot of counters, very strong, and had an inner beast that people really didn't really talk about because you didn't really necessarily hear or see it. But man, he was one of the best, man. It's not by coincidence. He's one of the ones.
And KG, talk about how the greats can just impose their will.
It's almost like another level.
Yeah.
When you see LeBron, what he did to Detroit in that fourth quarter, that's a blackout. You don't know what you're doing. When you see Kobe go for 81, when you see Chauncey come down on a one, these players are blacking out. These are elite players in elite moments, taking the moment. Paul Pierce is one of the best that I've ever seen grab a moment and savor it and just put it in slow-mo. And nothing speeding them up.
Special players.
Special players, but I get a front row seat of seeing that. Ray Allen, the same thing. He had a great composure about himself to slow himself down and hit pressure shots. Tim Duncan, same thing.
And guys, there's a lot to like here defensively. That shot almost ends up in the stand.
And he was not quite in position to block the shot, but the result is all the same.
Now here's Wiggins. He hasn't yet put up any points in this one. Gibson the screen. 5 to shoot. Wiggins kicks the butt. He's off on that one.
That was against good defense. He tried to sneak it in, though. We've seen him do it plenty of times.
And KG, you're retired from the game now, and you're stepping into the broadcast business a little bit now, aren't you?
You see me? You know what? Area 21 is something that is authentic. It's me. I'm having a great time watching the games. It's really cool being a fan now. I can root for people I want to root for. I don't have to worry about preparing and who I'm a guard and I'm getting the tea. So you know what? It's a great time. It's work. You know, it's not just you go on there and you have a bunch of fun. You know, we actually get some things done, and but we have a great time, man.
You're a natural.
Hey, Kev, listen, watching you, being around you, you know, man, the great, rest in peace to Craig, you know, Ernie, Charles, all these great influences, man, has definitely helped. Not just me, but our younger generations of broadcasters, man. It's totally, I didn't see this being my lane, but I'm having fun with it.
Doing a great job. Kevin, what a lot of fans don't get to see is all the work players do behind the scenes at home, before games, after games, on off days. Can you talk a little bit about that? Getting your body ready from the end of one game to play the next game. I mean, I've seen it, but you talk about it.
Yeah, the wellness starts right after you stop playing. The minute you come off the court, the ice, you know, you got to do progressions where right after the game you shower. Obviously, you got to get massages. You got to get some type of wellness on your legs, just because you're running so much. People don't know that you have to lift weights. You know, when we was in Boston, we lift every other day. We had a strenuous strength program. Shout out to Bidu. Brian Du, who is our strength coach up there, never let us get a day off. And if you didn't lift weights, then we find you as a player. Players find you, because it's important for you to come in here and be strong. We need everybody to be as strong as they can be. So you have to lift. And then actually, you know, you practice, but after practice, you have to put time into your own personal game.
Right. So much goes into it. It's amazing. And Kevin, you've recently gotten a chance to do more TV. Your show, Area 21, has been tremendous, and the critics love it. Talk about this chapter of your career.
Well, you know, it was something that I wasn't planning on, but, you know, Turner brought me a great concept, and it fit the mold of what any man cave is, and that's really what it is. But the fact that we can go in, watch games on multiple channels, see multiple games, articulate it, you know, give it from a perspective of a player, coming fresh out of this generation of players, giving understanding to this generation of players is very important, because these players now are very different. Teaching these young players, still being mentors of these players, very important, and still loving this game. It's still a beautiful game, man. The game is growing. I'm watching these kids do all types of different stuff, man. That the creativity in our game now is so heightened. So yeah, I'm having a bunch of fun, which is one thing I never forgot. The piece of advice you've always told me, man. So you continue to enjoy what you do, and it'll show. And I'm hoping that I'm making you proud of it. Okay, I'm enjoying what I'm doing.
You're an incredible ambassador to all of those things. The game, the fun of life. You capture a lot of the fun of life.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying. I'm enjoying it, so, hopefully it shows.
And KG, so great to see you. It takes me back. It really does.
A lot of people don't know, man. We got real original ties, man.
Back to the beginning.
95, man. My original man right here.
Here he was, man. You were a thrill a minute. I'll tell you that.
Man,
a thrill a minute.
Now look at us. 21 years later, dog. Man, can you believe
We're still
this?
standing.
We are. They haven't caught on yet. Don't say anything.
Okay. Kevin, one of the biggest moments of your career, the 2008 championship with the Boston Celtics. Talk about the camaraderie among that group of players.
Kev, I can tell right away that we had something special getting together right in September, right before the year started. We started working out together. We started sharing concepts and how we saw the game. Right away, I can tell that the appetite was there. 1 through 15 guys. It's very rare that you're able to get that many guys in that early. As soon as Danny, signed guys, we were in, we were lifting, we was just, around each other, understanding each other, playing a lot. We was playing a lot. Then, fortunately, we was able to go off to Rome that year. Rome was a good distraction for us because we had to lean on one another.
Bond a little bit.
Seriously, because, none of us spoke Italian. If we wanted to go somewhere, we was always 3-4 deep, and no one was asking and no one was telling us to be with each other. We were just naturally being with each other so much that whenever you saw us to the restaurants, 9, 10 of us, that carried over to practice. Then we got 2 teams that are very competitive. Doc's letting us be who we want to be and letting us play with passion, and our practices are over the top aggressive and to the point where it's too competitive to where he has to come in and separates us and, take the balls and cut the lights out and get us out of here, to the point where he just lets us go. Now we start bringing concepts to him. He started trusting our IQs. Now we start putting a couple things on defense, Thibodeau's in there. He's implementing stuff. When this flow is going like this, you don't know that you're going to win it all, but you're on the waves of something special. Right. And that's how that felt.
I love the effort there. Refuses to give up on that play.
And Kevin, you played for some great coaches, but is there any coach you would have been interested to work with that just didn't get a chance to? Say, Greg Popovich or Phil Jackson.
Those are great coaches. I've had very, very little time with those guys.
Maybe in all-star games and things like that.
I have. But, when you do all-star games, you let yourself go. You open up yourself to try to, be there and be present with the guys. Yes. Open up, hey, what's up? What's been up with you? How's the year for y'all? Y'all playing well. We're going to beat y'all when we see y'all, blah, blah, blah. But, you're very cordial. And, you're not talking too much about X's and O's. But you do share perspectives. You do share, philosophies. Pop is a great mind. I had a chance to sit with him a couple times. Phil's a great mind. Phil's super deep and loves the philosophy of. I haven't had a lot of time with those guys. Doc Rivers, shout out to Doc, and I know he doesn't get a lot for his philosophies, but he's very enriched with philosophies and styles and bringing teams together and trying to make sure that guys stay connected, stimulated. He would always tell us, and never get bored with the process.
Wow, that's so intriguing, interesting to hear. Lawson kicks to Crawford. He feeds it to Aldridge. Here's Lawson, and the layup's good off the glass. Lawson's got his second basket of the game. Kevin, when you entered the draft, no player had made the jump from high school to the NBA in 20 years. And what were your emotions when your name was called number 5 overall?
Oh, man. I remember that. It was
17 years old?
17, just turning 18 at the time. I was in like a whirlwind, to be honest. A lot of people don't know it's a lot of stuff that goes up into the draft. Things that I wasn't aware of. You're training twice a day. You're trying to get ready for the combine. You're trying to get ready for pre-draft. You got to do workouts. This is all new to me. On top of still going to high school, trying to, graduate and stuff. So I figured it out. I hustled and I bustled and I juggled a bunch of different things. But once your name is called, it's almost like the culmination. It all comes together. It's a special moment for just you and your family and your loved ones and ones around you. And when my name was called, it felt like the world had stopped and everything was going very slow.
And here is Muhammad following the three-pointer by DJ. And he gets it to go.
Oh, great production on the interior right now. 8 straight from inside.
Williams kicks to DJ. And there's 1:45 left to play in the first. Pick by Harrell. Clippers moving the ball around. Reed misses.
Yeah, blown opportunity after the two-man game creates a terrific look.
That's how it's drawn up. That is, everything but the finish.
And he recovers it. Lawson laid in with a nice touch off the glass. Lawson's got 6 points.
And they're beginning to just flat out fall apart defensively right now, especially on the interior.
Fires the three. And it's DJ missing. The Los Angeles Clippers coming to this one after the win against Portland.
You know what? It's a fine line between attacking but yet staying under control, and they did, and that's why they shot such a high percentage.
Yeah, terrific discipline. Searching for the best possible shots. That's how you achieve great results on the offensive end.
Crafty move. He recognizes the size disadvantage, and the mid-range is close enough.
Right. No reason to take it all the way to the rack. Instead, take what the defense allows.
Now here's Williams. No scoring yet from him, but that's likely to change. For the three, drills the three-pointer.
Defensively, they just look out of sync, not closing out on the threes in time.
We've got a 9-second difference between the shot clock and the game clock. Now here's Muhammad. He's covered closely. And Muhammad throws it down.
Yeah, just solid work on the back end of that play.
Yep, you're right. Finished hard with two hands on that stuff. DJ passes to Wells. Over in the corner, Williams. Pass to Reed. Kicks to DJ. The feed to Wells. And again, Los Angeles with the triple.
And Wells knows how to drop it in from deep. Whenever he has a clean look from downtown, he's going to get it up immediately.
Jimmy Butler has been on display for the Minnesota Timberwolves. He got into double digits for the quarter with 10 points total. We've got more in store for you right after this. DeAndre Jordan not a focal point offensively for this team, but as a defender, he understands he can make a big difference.
I'm not really a big scorer for our team, but that's not my job. My job is to defend and rebound for our team, and I've accepted my role, and I feel like I'm, excelling in my role.
Well, Jordan, a man who knows what his job is, and he likes his job and does it very, very well. He is excelling.
And he may not be the NBA's Defensive Player of the Year, but he is certainly the Clippers' Defensive Player of the Year. Jordan has become a defensive beast. And the thing of it is, he's still learning, still getting better.
And we got a close game here as we get back to the second quarter. And before we move on, what do you guys think about what we've seen so far from the Timberwolves?
Boy, I tell you, it didn't take them long to find their rhythm. Strong offense through one.
Yeah, their scoring's been on point. They've got the early lead. Always feels good when that happens.
Here are the five the Clippers have to start the second. We've got Wells. Reed out there with Montrezl Harrell. Then it's Patrick Beverley. And it's Teodosic in at the 2 spot.
Just great at getting after it defensively, forcing guys into tough shots.
Yeah, to be successful, you've got to protect the paint. He rises to that challenge.
Kevin, growing up watching the game of basketball, who were some of your earliest influences?
My early influences in the game of basketball was Magic Johnson, obviously Michael Jordan, and then Chris Webber. Chris Webber, Malik Sealy was kind of like the younger generation of my inspiration. Yeah. St. John's was one of the destinations. Michigan was one of my college destinations. So those guys were my natural inspirations early on when I was young.
Yeah. Kevin, some of the relatively new rules protecting players, the breakaway, the flagrant 1, the flagrant 2. Are you in favor of all this stuff?
I'm in favor for players' health. Anything that is going to be detrimental to a player's health, I feel like, the player's health is the first and only obligation. That's all I've ever worried about. Foul play, I think every player should always understand it's a way to foul. It's a way to be able to, send a message. But in the heat of the moment, I get it. Things happen. I hope that all players out there will continue to care about and respect the game.
Kevin, you accomplished everything individually as a teammate. anything that you wish you would have done, any player that you wish you would have played with, any regret in that form that lingers with you in retirement?
No, nothing lingers. Obviously, you sit back and think about, I would love to play with Cole for a year, or got to team at least play in the U.S.
You had a chance. Wasn't there like a rumor one time?
It was. My connection with Paul was just the opportunity when I waited. It's what it was. But
Cole, you wouldn't have traded the Paul Pierce thing for anything.
No, I wouldn't have, because Paul and I are true brothers. The connection, and then the team, Ray, my connection with Doe and then Doc and all that. So I wouldn't have given that up for anything. But if I could have played with one person, probably would have been Cole. Summertime, I say USA because that's when you get to play with each other and all that, and you get to kind of beat up on everybody else and be USA or whatever. So that would have been super fun. But it's all good. Shout to Mama, you know what it is. But I have no regrets, man. I left everything on the floor. I enjoy watching the game more than ever now, dog. I'm not even a fan. I enjoy having my popcorn, my little ritual, my boys, and we sit back and watch the game and loving the game.
Yeah. And the rejection by James. Lawson outside. And in the second quarter, a little under 3.5 minutes played already. The dish now to Crawford. Over Beverly. And out of bounds as the Clippers gain possession. And some changes here for the Timberwolves. Taj Gibson's checked in for Aldridge. Andrew Wiggins comes in for Jamal Crawford. And it's Teague in for Ty Lawson. DeAndre Jordan's checked in for the Clippers. Griffin comes in for Montrezl Harrell. Here's Teodosic. He's been patient so far, nothing yet on the scoreboard. Regular season grind, 82 games in the regular season. In your opinion, is that the right amount of games for teams to play, or would you like to see the schedule shortened where there's more practice in between, more days of rest, more days to recuperate?
Man, look.
You got a big smile on your face.
For the old school, Kev, 82 games is how you got to come through it. Listen.
It's a war, isn't it?
It is. And you know what? This is the tradition of it, man. This is what it is, bro. If you don't want to go through this and go through this hall and this road of this journey, then cool. Go to another league. They got shorter games. They got other awards that you can, This is the NBA. This is what it is. This is the grind of it. And ones that have come before you have done it, just like the ones that's after you is going to do it. This is what it is.
On the sideline, let's catch up with Hall of Famer David Aldridge.
Well, we know the Clippers are one of the best teams in the league, but are they good enough to win it all? Coach Doc Rivers talked about overcoming the super teams they face. He said the big three in Boston, put them together, bam, we won. We had Miami, Golden State, but there are teams that still poke through. Dallas did it, and that's what we're trying to do. Kevin?
And with Doc in control, the Clippers, DA, they'll always be in contention for a title. Thanks so much for that terrific report. Kevin, with intentional fouling, with poor free throw shooters being sent to the line currently, the hack of Drummond, hack of Shaq, all this stuff, hack of DeAndre Jordan. What are your thoughts on all that?
You know what? I like it. You know what it's going to do? It's
part of the strategy?
It's going to put the strategy, and this is part of it. And you know what you got to do? It's going to make all those guys you just named work on that free throw. Because if any advantage that you have in the game, coaches are going to expose it. Coaches are going to expose all weak points, as they should, as any sport, and as any great is going to expose any weaknesses in defenses. He's going to look to expose those things. So this is one of the things that dictates the game, and these guys are going to have to be better. It's going to push them. It's going to make them better players.
The Timberwolves again can't hit. Clippers leading by 5. Griffin passes to Teodosic. Kevin, when you played, we all know how intense you were, how much you cared. That, to me, was the thing that you cared so much about the product, about your team, about the game. But some people have said that maybe there was a streak of you that was mean is maybe not the right word, but you were overly aggressive. But I don't know how you could have played any differently.
What's up? I call it dialed in.
What?
I like to think that if you're trying to accomplish something, then, I only know one way to accomplish something. You go at it with everything you have.
Yes.
You go to dominate it and take it over. You don't go at something lightly.
Can't walk through the park with this game,
Not at all. And this game is full of talented elites. night in, night out, you're playing someone that can typically go for 50 easy.
So true. Kevin, when you're talking about influences, you mentioned Chris Webber's name a lot.
Yeah, see, Webb was kind of, he and Stacey Altman was at a time where I was trying to find myself as a player.
Search for a roadmap, maybe, who do I most resemble?
Not only that, but just some direction. At the time I was a big who had handles, and if you know anything about Southern coaches, they don't want their big handling the ball. So you get the ball up to a guard or whatever. It wasn't until I got to Chicago to where scouts or people were able to see like, wow, this big can actually handle the ball. He has handle a little bit. And then my high school coach would actually make me bring the ball up to show off and showcase.
No kidding.
I hated it. I was like, oh my God,
but look at what happened,
bring the ball up. And he knew that turning, I could handle it. I was like, oh my God, I hated this. And he knew I would go and dunk him on. I was like, man, I don't want to shoot. He was like, no, bring the ball up. Anyways.
He's incredibly difficult to guard, Blake Griffin. He's 6'10", 250-something pounds. He has size, but he also has quickness like a guard.
That one falls, so he hits both of them. Kevin, we know how hard the players work, the elite players work the hardest. We know the coaches work so hard. Everyone in that coaching staff, everyone wants the game called right. Is an added referee something that would help the game in any way, do you think?
More eyes on it.
We got 3 right now.
Listen, that's a lot,
That
man.
is a lot.
And we're yelling at those 3. Listen, more eyes on the prize, if you will, so be it. It's just about how the game is. You want referees to be consistent. You want referees to also let the guys play a little bit. That's just my preference. I'm not a league official, nor do I know flow and momentum. I'm just talking from a fan perspective and watching it.
Yes.
But, as a player, find things to complain about because that's what a player does when it comes to advantage versus disadvantage. But fourth ref, I don't think it will hurt. To me, it would be about how they were calling.
And it's Wiggins with the jam.
Beautiful ball movement by Jimmy Butler, constantly looking to set up his guys.
Kevin, over the years, we've seen a number of super teams develop, and in the Warriors' case, it's not the big 3, it's the big 4. Is this a trend you see continuing? You did it in Boston.
Man, look,
you were the original big 3.
It seems like it, eh? Right.
You were the original big 3.
You know what? It's like an innovative type of thing, right? I didn't even know that we were doing that. Right, because LeBron come back and do what? LeBron goes to
Miami. He's the big 3 right down there. Yeah.
And then what? Then it just starts morphing into these different things, right?
KD to Golden State.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
What do you think of it?
I think this is pretty much the norm. You know what? Listen, I think KD took a lot of heat for it, but when you really think about what he's doing, is that, let's say 20 years from now, when he sits back and he wants to talk to Steph, wants to talk to Draymond, wants to talk to Clay, these are all going to be 3 greats with him. I'm just talking about those 3 guys. He's playing with 3 other greats. I'm sorry. If you had a chance to play with 3 other greats in the prime, Kev, you're going to do that. And if you don't, then something's wrong with you.
And the Clippers making a change here. DJ's checked in. And the Timberwolves with possession here. Here's Butler. And he gets that one to go off the front iron. Butler's got 7 points for the quarter. And Kevin, you look at the star players joining up today. At the end of the day, it's about winning.
The game is about winning. More importantly, it's about these bonds that you're able to establish. Those guys are going to be brothers forever. Now, I get the whole OKC, him leaving, right? But this is morphing into something else, and I think that this is going to be part of the norm.
Championships.
It is, man, and that's what you're in this for. You go to build these things. I don't know if I would have done it like that, but I understand it. I get it. He's playing with 3 other greats that's making the game more efficient for him, and it's working. But, yes, I see this being the norm in the league.
Kevin, we see some coaches get extremely emotional on the sideline. Others take a more even-keeled approach, more calm on the sideline. Which coaching style would you prefer to play for when you were in your prime? Did you want a coach who was animated, or did you want a coach who was just kind of settled on the sideline?
You know what? I like the coach that was settled on the sideline. You know, I like to think that great coaches are going to be able to coach you in practice, and then during the games, you know, it's about the product and what you put out on the floor. You know, coaches that have understanding, coaches that have vision, coaches that understand the game, you know, understand that it's a game of runs, you know that it's a game of momentum, and have plays for those momentums and those times. Are coaches that I've always gravitated to and understood.
Like Doc was kind of in between, wasn't he? Little bit of emotion, but he could also have a calm demeanor on that side.
Doc was all fire. I'm sorry. Doc, there was nothing calming about Doc.
I'm trying to cover Doc's back here.
No, shout to Doc. Doc will rip your head off if you wasn't supposed to. But you know what? You need to play with that edge. You needed to know that if you wasn't in your spot, 1 through 15, you understood that you were supposed to be there, and it's good to play with that. I think that you don't want to be out there playing like, you know, this is no big deal. Every play is a big deal, and no play you absolutely, absolutely. Right? And you know what? That severity, and you play with that importance, and you know, knowing that you're playing for the next guy. So you know that's important.
And he makes the first.
I just love the way Gibson plays the game. Defensive-minded, willing to do whatever it takes. It's easy to see why his teammates respect him.
He's off on the second. Lou Williams is checked in for Austin Rivers. Butler dishes to Gibson. Teague sets a screen for Gibson. Towns the screen. And Gibson kicks to Wiggins. There's the pass to Towns. Over Jordan. That one's good, and the Clipper lead is cut down now to just 2 points with that basket from Towns. LA has gotten cold from deep in the second quarter, just 2 of 6 from long range. Here's Jordan, and slam dunk by Jordan.
Size and strength of DeAndre Jordan, brushing off the defender.
Minnesota's gotten half their shots from three-point range to go down in the second quarter. 3 of 6 from downtown. Gibson the screen. Teague left side. He kicks it to Towns. And Griffin sends it back.
I love the defensive intensity from Blake Griffin on that play.
KG, I know you can't stay any longer. You've got to move on, but we appreciate your time, and it's always great to see you.
Kev, anytime, man. It's great to see you, man. And anytime you need me, you let me know, man. I'm yours.
Former MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, and champion, Kevin Garnett. Wow, it's such a pleasure to have Kevin Garnett with us. Steve, he looks like he hasn't changed a bit, like he could go out there now and still play.
I totally agree. He's one of those guys that stayed in phenomenal shape, and when he played, I mean, his impact on the game from the 1 position all the way to the 4, he was a handful.
Now let's go to the sideline and catch up with our Hall of Famer, David Aldridge.
Well, DJ in the last matchup against the Trailblazers was tremendous. He ended up with 47 points, and he got those points as he always does, knocking down shots from beyond the arc. When you look at the stat sheet, he was mind-blowing. It's hard to imagine he can follow it up tonight with that same level of production. Kevin, we'll see.
Thanks, David, for another reminder of just what an unbelievable performance that was.
One that everyone's still talking about tonight. He dominated that game in just about every way possible.
I'm so excited. I can't wait to see what he's got in store for us tonight. Maybe he tops himself again. I think he just might do it.
Looking at who's out there now for the Timberwolves. Gorgie Dangs checked in for Gibson. Crawford comes in for Wiggins, and it's Lawson in for Teague. He hits both from the stripe.
I love the complementary aspect of this group now. You know, you've got the young talent, but you've brought in some veteran leadership here for the Timberwolves. The duo of Wiggins and Karl Anthony Towns kind of gave the confidence to them to go out and acquire a superstar in his prime like Jimmy Butler. No doubt it's been a bit of a struggle for him here in this quarter in terms of scoring.
There's the pick. And Zhang kicks to Crawford. The Timberwolves working the ball around now. Pocket 6. And Zhang gets it to go. Zhang's got his second basket of the game.
How about the passing? They are moving the ball without any thought, without any individual agenda.
Back to Jordan. Towns with the steal. Crawford, no one around him. Good, and the assist goes to Towns. Now it's a 3-point Timberwolves lead.
The three-point percentage of Jamal Crawford, he can go hot and cold, but he's always a threat.
And we're through the first half of basketball here, and what's been a good one. Timberwolves lead by 3. And now let's catch up with David Aldridge, who's standing by from the sideline. All right, Dave.
David, wie immer morgen, ja, die erste Hälfte eng umkämpft, enges Spiel zu meiner Leistung, ja, 27 Punkte ist ordentlich, ein Assist, ein Rebound ist vielleicht ein bisschen wenig, aber war nicht mehr drin, hat auch nicht so viel Einsatzzeit, Trefferquote, ja, zwischen 40 und 50%, also auch noch alles im Rahmen. Wir sind gespannt auf die zweite Hälfte, die gibt es dann morgen. Für heute soll es das gewesen sein. Wenn das Video euch gefallen hat, lasst einen Daumen hoch da. Ihr dürft auch sehr, sehr gerne kommentieren. Und wenn ihr es noch nicht abonniert habt, ja, dann abonniert es doch einfach. Vergesst aber nicht, die kleine Glocke neben dem Abonnieren-Button zu drücken. Denn nur dann bekommt ihr alles mit, was bei uns im Kanal so abgeht. Und achtet auch mal oben rechts hier im Video, wenn ihr mit der Maus drüber fahrt, da seht ihr kleine, ja, Infokarten. Und da gibt es noch ein paar andere coole Videos zu anderen Spielen. Könnt ihr euch auch mal reinziehen. Da ist bestimmt das eine oder andere für euch Interessanter auch mit dabei. Die Dinger werden auch immer zwischendrin mal wieder eingeblendet. Einfach mal draufklicken, dann speichert sich das YouTube und dann könnt ihr das danach noch anschauen. Schaut doch mal bei uns auf Facebook vorbei. facebook.com/dzfmgaming. Oder ihr klickt bei uns im Kanalbanner hier auf YouTube unten rechts, da wo die ganzen Partner stehen, einfach auf die Facebook-Verlinkung. Dann seid ihr da auch ganz schnell. Dort gibt es nämlich Tipps und Tricks, Tests und auch immer mal wieder ein Gewinnspiel und natürlich auch News aus der Szene. Lohnt sich auf jeden Fall da auch mal vorbeizuschauen. Und wenn euch NBA 2K18 gefällt, ja, dann schaut mal in die Videobeschreibung. Da findet ihr einen Link, wo ihr das Spiel besonders günstig kaufen könnt. Für heute war es das. Im Abschluss komplette NBA 2K18 Playlist und in der Mitte